Rajashree?
Good evening, viewers. Hope you are doing truly well and trying to safeguard yourself and also trying to stay enthusiastic as we are completely unlocking and getting back into action with our professional lives. But we are here today with a Teachers' Day celebration program with sharing the success stories of beauty, brains, and bravery. And we have a very esteemed personality with us. And before I go ahead introducing her, as some of you know, but for those who are new, True Wealth is an integrated healthcare initiative guiding patients and healthy individuals to overcome their health concerns and manage self-help to reach the ultimate goal of holistic health and happiness. True Wealth aims to help you separate science from hype by sharing authentic knowledge and wisdom from healthcare and nutrition stalwarts so you can make the right health and nutrition choices. It also desires to unleash the therapeutic role and potential of nutrition in curing and preventing diseases of today, which even modern medicine is unable to partly or completely treat. True's ultimate goal is to provide integrative and personalized health and nutrition advice to achieve health and happiness. A quick note that, of course, we have a speaker who's a doctor here today. This live program we normally organize to give you more information, guidance, sharing experiences through the lockdown and also otherwise. The recommendations though made out here should not be treated as any personalized consultation. For the same, you can always reach us on 982004836 or reach us on www.truewealth.in. If you have any questions or if you want to share anything regarding today's personality, you can actually even text us on 982004836. You can call us there, or you can feel free to put your comments into the comment box in Facebook as well as YouTube. And four more different channels that we are actually playing this session today on, beginning on the Teachers' Day with our great celebrity that we have with us today. However, we will also not be sharing any information on COVID-19 and related treatment, and you're advised to go to the assigned hospitals and doctors to get the same. While we are also celebrating the Teachers' Day under our beautiful initiative, which is Beauty with Brains and Bravery. When these three words come forth, really need we say more? Then why are we really doing Beauty with Brains and Bravery? The purpose is to encourage, enrich, and help empower women to aspire and excel professionally and personally. The mission is to build a network of world's most sought after women professionals so they could share their knowledge, skills, experiences, opportunities, resources, dreams, aspirations, as well as their challenges, fears, shortcomings, requirements as they pursue a common goal of leading richer and more fulfilling lives. So also, Beauty with Brains Bravery live programs is an initiative sharing their success stories. Really is an initiative in the direction by celebrating the successes of women professionals from the world to stir the ecosystem. So we have more and more Saraswatis who idolize knowledge, Lakshmis who idolize, of course, wealth, and Nirbhayas or Durgas who, of course, are a depiction of the bravery and the strength women have. The more and more that we have them in the world and in our neighborhood, the world, we hope will become a more knowledge-driven, wealth, prosperous, and also a strong and safe world for all of us. Having said that, who could have been a better celebrity or personality to be on our session today with us? And before I introduce her, welcome to you, Dr. Girija Wagh, Madam, to be with us. Being Teachers Day special, it is a proud moment for me actually to have her. She's one of the most beautiful woman with brains and bravery, of course, who inspires me personally a lot as a mentor, as a friend, as a strong partner, I would say, in taking women health to a different paradigm. In fact, I'm sort of supporting her through it. She's carrying the torch, and she does that with wisdom and integrated, personalized approach through her day in, day out service she gives to the women. She's a gynecologist and obstetrician par excellence, a teacher par excellence, and a wisdom woman who has achieved so much already, and yet she won't show it, and will achieve even more for of course all of us, for all we women to stay healthy and stay empowered in many ways. So to give though she her name, as her name suggests, Girija Wagh, Girija really depicts the heights or the epitome of a mountain, and of course her surname is depicts a lioness who's truly the queen of her profession and her persona. Having said that, I want to also give a detailed introduction of what she is. She's a gynecologist and seasoned professional with specialization in high-risk obstetrics, gynecology, endoscopy, and fertility. And she has about 3 decades of experience in the same. She is, of course, done her MBBS and MD from the BJ Medical College and Sassoon General Hospital, which is in Pune. She has a diploma in advanced gynecological endoscopy from Germany. She's a fellow of the Indian College of Obstetrics and Gynecology. She's the fellow of the Indian College of Surgeons as well. She currently practices at some of the coveted hospitals in Pune. One of them is Cloud9, which is a specialized gynecology hospital, whole hospitals. She's also, she heads the academics at the Bharati Hospital, and she runs her own setup. Through all this, her area of specialty includes normal and high risk obstetrics, as I mentioned, also IVF fertility treatment, diet control, PCOS, fertility procedures of fertility promoting laparoscopic and hysteroscopic surgeries. She has been the chairman of the Medical Disorders Committee at FOXI. She works very relentlessly with this I would say, one of the largest gynecological associations in the country. She's the director, she's been the director at the Galaxy Laparoscopy Institute and a member of the OG steering committee at an international organization as well. Lots to actually mention about her, but I think most of it, let's actually learn it up from her itself. And of course, as to give you a brief introduction of me, I'm Rajashree Gadgil, of course, and as you all might know, I am the founder of True Wealth Integrative Healthcare, and also the founder of a couple of companies, RSG Nutrition and Healthcare Private Limited, which is into nutrition products, and the third company, which is into medical events. I do have a MSc from the Science Hospital, which is a Master's in Science, and an MBA in Marketing. And I have globally worked with a lot of companies in different areas, of expertise like strategic marketing to branding to right to nutrition counseling, which is actually my most passionate work that I do. I've also been speaker at a lot of conferences, but won't brag too much about myself. I've of course spearheaded this beauty with brains and bravery concept, and we are really helping women to be empowered, getting enrich their lives and encourage a lot of women all over, which is why we have today's speaker with us, Dr. Girija Wagh. Dr. Wagh, it is always a pleasure every week to be with you, but this week to be with you on a special day, which is a Teachers' Day, is absolutely thoroughly a great time, and I'm sure we and the viewers are also going to have a great time with you. How are you doing, and would you like to say anything to our viewers before we begin shooting a lot of questions at you today?
Such a wonderful introduction you've already given me, and that sets the bar high, and with huge responsibilities I'm here to take whatever questions you want to ask me. I love to answer questions. There was a time in my life when I used to not like questions, but now I feel that yes, it's important that we answer questions, because then that sets the stage, and then that also is a reflection of the fact that somebody is putting some thought into whatever is happening. So therefore questions matter. Thank you.
Sure. So I would like to start the session with, and I have stolen some of them from your wall, but I wanted to show this today because I think this is something which is dear to your heart, and really our school is something where we get nurtured, and we learn to nurture as well. Because that to this day, you're relentlessly doing so many programs online. You're doing workshops where you're actually teaching people how to get trained in surgery, and so much more that you're doing. So I wanted to showcase all of them together to see how many people at a go you are sort of influencing. There are these two women on the right who really actually appreciate, and they're so honored to have you as their teacher. But you say that you're honored to be a teacher to them, and then we also have a lot of workshops which are where you're training. So I wanted to show all of it together for the viewers to see it, and with that, we would really want to sort of know, because in your fraternity you've been doing so much of work. So, but to begin with, really, if you want to share some of your memories of your beautiful and strong upbringing, really, because parents, mentors, who have sort of influenced you all throughout to be a great person and a great professional.
Thank you so much for that, because the uppermost teachers for me have been my parents, Dr. Mohan Rao Hapse, who used to be the Pro Vice Chancellor of the University of Pune, and my own mother, Dr. Vijaya Hapse. And these people not only gave me their genes of strength, but they also gave me an upbringing which was full of lot of tolerance, then positivity. And I think in one single word, I don't find an appropriate synonym, and you must help me, Rajashree, with this, is samadhan. Satisfaction, superficial, it sounds
Yes.
superficial. Samadhan has a different depth to it. Yes. And that is what they taught us in whatever we got. Yeah. We never felt, now if you look in today's comparison, if you look at the connotations of the material world, we never felt that we did not have anything or we had too much of anything. We always were under, I remember, it was constantly a journey, what we again in Marathi call as dhyas. That was a complete, that kind of a thing, that you have to attain whatever you can in all aspects, from your health to your education, to your thinking, to your obligation to the society. That was so very uppermost on our minds. Yes. That you are supposed to be giving something back to the society. And it was not something which was, generally adopted or brought in artificially. This was what they were doing day in and day out. So both of them were doing day in and day out, which automatically rubbed onto me. Whenever there were holidays, I used to go to my native place, either Nevase, where my father's family stayed, or to Kaudgaon, where my maternal house was. Every time I was hugely influenced, one by my maternal grandmother, and maternal and paternal grandmother. Both of them, according to me, were people of uttermost sainthood. They lived life of values, of principles, and they were continuously working. I have never seen them frolicking away to glory. Their happinesses came out of serving people. So these were my uppermost role models. And my father somehow, despite being so busy, always had time to share all these stories with me as a child. What his mother did, what his family was. Likewise, I
Yes.
got these stories from my grandmother, and these people were the ones who set up the foundation of what I feel. Because my father, when he came down to Praura, he was just at the age of 32, when entire scientist career was in front of him. He was selected that time to do DSc in a French university, and that time we were in America at the Ohio State University, where Daddy was a reader. And then he got a call from VK Patil, the senior VK Patil, Baba as we used to call him, VK Baba. And he said he wanted to start a college in the rural part of our country, because education is very important. And he wanted him to become the principal of that institution. And my father left all his absolute flourishing career of a scientist and came down to stabilize in Praura Nagar, which is called as Loni, which was a village which did not even have two or three shops in it. And this was where our schooling happened. And therefore, that connect to the rural part of the country, and looking at my parents trying to build up. My father used to sit and build up the dream. I saw that dream building in front of him. And these have been my inspirations.
Wow, it is amazing to know this, because though people around you see the illustrious position that you have reached, but and of course must have seen your father to be where he was in those days. Who could even imagine to go to the US, or who could even imagine to go to France in those days? And he actually did that and left and came here to be in such a such a remote place to develop it. It is I mean, it is a different kind of inspiration. I think you can't explain it in simple words, isn't it, ma'am? Because
Absolutely.
what you are talking about, and all those small things, all those small stories, they just have a completely different impact on us, and that just cannot be explained very easily in words, to say so. And which I can totally, I don't know, I can identify with you, because I have had similar stories shared by my father. And and having lived in the US, and to come back to do something you're passionate about, and something you feel so much about, is just an amazing feeling. Having said that, was it again them who sort of inspired you? Because you inspire so many people around. Who really inspired you to become a doctor in first place, or to become a gynecologist, really?
So it was actually a joint product of many things. As I told you, my mother always was very, very assertive about the fact that you must get educated. She had to leave her education, and she did not have an opportunity because she got married early. She got married at the age of 19, and my father was 26 when they got married. And she wanted me to get educated, because she felt that education will not only bring me opportunity of serving the society better, but a lot of freedom of thought, which was not there at that point in time for women. And then, as I used to start doing my schooling, there was always I remember my father was hugely tolerant about my academic achievements, and he had huge trust. He said that you are so intelligent that I know you are going to do it. It was never a compulsion. But my mother was extremely strict about your thoughts processes, how you behave, how you live, how you groom yourself, looking proper, looking good, talking correctly. then spelling out words, pronouncing words correctly, using your voice correctly, your body language correctly. I did not have to go to any kind of school to get myself groomed or anything. It was automatically happening on a day to day basis in my house. Later on, when I started scoring good marks in my school, and then when it happened that I was in 11th and 12th standard, actually I was much influenced by one of my grandfathers who was a communist, and I wanted to become like Mary Curie because I was reading her biography, and I wanted to become a nuclear physicist. Then over a period of time, I thought that I want to make business in fisheries. So therefore, these were the two things that I felt. And then my teachers, when I was in 12th standard, they had a meeting amongst themselves, and they said that she's extremely intelligent and we must try to achieve a good score, not only for our institution, but we must try and channelize her correctly. So all of them sat together. There were some of my dad's friends, like Gupte Kaka, who's no more. He was the ex-vice chancellor of Pune University. NC Joshi Kaka, who is there, he's become old now. Karmarkar Kaka, their wives, they used to keep on coming to our house. They were on the executive body of the Pune University. And then they used to say, you are such a loving child. You like to do so many things. You like to cook also. You like to, do gardening. But, you will have to have something independent. And the best way of going about it is going for medicine, because you will get an opportunity to do everything on your own, and not only that, put your intelligence to better use. So it was a joint activity of so many people influencing my thinking that I finally decided to choose medicine as my career. And this was automatically decided in the 11th 12th standard, because in the 12th standard, despite being good at mathematics, I was asked to take it as an option to dairy science. And then I topped the board. I was first in the 12th standard board amongst girls, and that gave me an easy sell through to the Vijay Medical College that time. Now, once I started doing my MBBS training, when I went for internship to the St. Luke's Hospital, which was, a hospital where only people who used to get good marks used to get an opportunity of going to Shirampur. That was in Shirampur, near my native place. And while I was working there, and there were two surgeons, one was a young surgeon, one was a senior surgeon, they were a physician, and I used to be constantly in the labor room. And then I realized, while I was assisting those people, we had a huge amount of clinical and surgical work there. While I was assisting there, I realized that, surgery means there is too much of hassle and there is no satisfaction at the end. Medicine is only about medicines, you're not doing anything. I chose, therefore, to become a gynecologist. And I felt that by doing gynecology, I'll be doing medicine, I'll be doing surgery, as well as I'll be looking after, good outputs. And it would be such a futuristic act, because if I am a good gynecologist and an obstetrician, I will be able to help the process of making future generations. So this was something which was in my mind, and therefore I chose Gynac. And fortunately, because I was in merit, I got my admission in gynecology and in the same institution as the BJ Medical College, where I finally finished my entire training in this subject, which is very close to my heart.
Wow, that's super impressive.
And I remember one more thing, that my father actually wanted me to become a surgeon, because he was very, very influenced by Madam Mehta. Madam Mehta was a very, very popular female surgeon at one time, an extremely strong personality. And she had a specialization in doing esophageal surgeries at that time, a very, very strong personality. My father was operated upon her by when he was in college, and he was extremely impressed by her. I said, Dad, sorry, I won't impress you like Madam Mehta, but believe me, I will try to dedicate my life like Madam Banu Koyaji, who was the beginner of the KM hospital in Pune. I did get to meet Banu Madam for some time, and she has always been my inspiration and an icon. So whenever I feel that, I'm having a setback, I try to remember these people, and then that gives me an impetus to do my things properly.
Wow, ma'am, this is so much inspirational to know. I don't know. I haven't known so many facts of your life, but every time I meet you, there is something or the other I learn, which is exceptional, and I carry it back with me, and it stays with me. And knowing the background, I realize why. why it is like that now. It's why every time meeting with you and talking to you is so enriching. And viewers, I want you to take a note that uh, this is the reason why I keep calling her everything par excellence. And to be able to even interact with a person like her, and who is always ready to teach, talk, have conversations, share, support anyone that is around, is it's just amazing. Having such a illustrious parents, childhood. She had such idols in front of her, which she's been following. Yet she is so much modest that she's always reachable, especially for her patients. So, really, ma'am, I wanted to ask you that question, but I think you've really given the answer. I was going to ask you, because these days we keep talking about IQ, the intelligence quotient, the emotional quotient, the social quotient, and the AQ. But you really depicted how much an intelligent quotient is sort of essential, and of course not enough, but something which is exceptionally important, and which of course has to be honed, having your own passion and dedication towards it. So that really gave an answer to my next question. But having said that, how does this whole thing really transpire with your patients? Because I know you always keep talking about you being a feminist, and staunch feminist, I would say, in the right sense, because this word sort of takes a negative connotation these days. But in the right sense, you've been a staunch feminist, trying to empower women, of course, around you, your students around you. And some of those photographs, we could see that there were so many women around you learning from you as well. But you don't leave a single opportunity to empower your patients who are women, and of course even trying to guide their families. If you would like to share a couple of encouraging stories, I think that would be really nice.
So it goes on to understand that one of the most important things, Rajeshri, that we have to understand is from where we come. And I believe at the time when I topped the board examinations, there were two people. There was Dr. Manikrao Dada, who was from Ahmednagar, a very, very staunch, BJP person. He was more than RSS worker. And then there was Kadu Kaka, who was also a communist person, who was in our area. And these were very, very influential people. They wrote letters to me. Can you believe me? I still have those letters. And in those letters, they told me that you never forget from where you have come. And your parents, your uncles, all of them have created, a huge, strong background of education and value through nothing. And you have actually created a kalash, a golden sort of a kalash on the top of this temple. And therefore, your responsibility always remains that you have to keep it going, the legacy. So this legacy made me carry and get into things and introspect into things. Believe me, Rajeshri, if I, as I told you some time back, I have shared my mission with you. My mission is, yes, I'm doing my OBGYN practice as it has been put into the protocols, but I always like to look at an alternative. And I always look at that person who comes to me as a soul. I don't look at it as a materialistic existence, because I have been sometimes very impatient. I have been temperamental, and I have realized that it has caused me more harm. Not me, but my patients have been, it must have caused them harm, because I feel that I cannot deprive that soul from whatever I have. And with that, it went on for me to understand them better and to make them see better. Because just now, I'll tell you, patients come in and they are just newly married and they will have irregular cycles. Simple things. I say, what are you eating? What are you thinking? I feel that these aspects of existence are beyond medicine, or actually, they are important part of medicine. What is your thinking pattern? What is your emotional quotient? How are you relating to things? Are you conscious? And this has been given a wonderful name today, what we called as mindfulness. Are you mindful about your existence, about what you're doing? Why have you got married? Why do you want to have children? And why do you think that you are suffering from this particular problem? And one of my important missions in all those goals, which keeps on evolving all the time, is that I have to ensure that the future generations, whenever I get an opportunity, of course, are created healthy. So whenever I speak to patients, I say it's our responsibility to the society that we create healthy future children. Your babies have to be healthy. You have to be healthy. So that is my mission. And therefore it brings me, I keep on thinking how better I can keep on improvising in trying to, attract more people who I can educate and try to deliver whatever I can.
That is again, I have no words, because this is something which has influenced me to sort of work with you and be on your different initiatives and missions, which are, of course, one of them, which you, like you said, for the future generations, and which you are working relentlessly on, and I am committed to support you on, which is, of course, the PCOS eradication. But in your fraternity, sort of, you are relentlessly working on providing, superior treatment and care, and you are, in fact, stressing on developing protocols and forming best practices. We would like to know a little bit more about that as well, because I would wonder how come a doctor, a gynecologist can, do her work, being a woman, trying to balance so much, and still relentlessly work on something which is very, very critical, crucial, and managerial to an extent also. But you are putting your might and time and efforts to it as well. So if you would like to share something with us and the viewers, because this is something which is, viewers, believe it is something very, very important when you're trying to put best practices together, and when you're trying to put protocols together. It isn't an easy job at all. It needs a lot of excellence and also a lot of wisdom, at which ma'am really is at today. So ma'am, if you would like to share a few details about it.
See, there were three very important influences which made me what I am today. One of them being because while we were working in the Sassoon Hospital, where we used to deliver about 35 to 40 patients per day, you can imagine a lot of high risk and complicated patients used to come to that government hospital. And many a times, helplessly, we had to watch patients either deteriorating or succumbing to whatever illnesses they had. There was very little that could have been done there, but despite that, I could see that the nursing staff, whatever protocols were set by, many a times I remember that time we used to believe that agar kisi ko kuch complication ho gaya, the best place to go will be Sassoon because there will be so many people there to save you. Having said that, later on, when I started getting associated with our medical college, that is Bharati Vidyapith University Medical College, where I evolved from a lecturer to the head of the department, I was exposed to NABH accreditation processes. I was exposed to best practices which we have to write under the University Grants Commission, and there is something called as a NAC accreditation system which accreditates your university and teaching institutions. And these are very rigorous inspections. I was fortunate at that time to be the head of the department who had to undergo these inspections regularly. And before that, of course, the Medical Council of India comes looking for what kind of work and what kind of education you are imparting. So these gave me an idea of trying to objectivize things, trying to see for excellence, that you have to ensure that this is projected, you have to ensure that this is committed. Without doing it, you cannot project it. Without having a high level of value or a standard, you cannot achieve it. Then parallelly, I was working in the FOXI, which is the Federation of Obstetric Gynec Societies of India, consisting of 33,000 members all across the world. You said country, I must correct you. Across the world, this is the biggest single professional organization. And this particular organization has such good clinical practice recommendations which are drafted for its practitioners. And through this, I got exposed to all this culture of standardization and trying to minimize complications, trying to always go into what we call as self-auditing. My first audit started with doing cesarean section audits. Are we doing too many C-sections? How do we reduce them? What is the reason? So these are small, and these taught us, this also somehow brush onto your personal life. Am I doing what is right? Every time you must go into criticism. There has been the ex-president of FIGO, that is International Federation, Dr. Sabratnan Arul Kumaran. I rate him as the highest class and order of a professor who can be in this particular subject. And one day I had invited him to Bharati Vidyapeeth to speak to all our professors. And he spoke on leadership. And in that, he said that as a leader, you must have a feedback which is coming from your colleagues, whether the junior or maybe they are the same ones. In Bharati Vidyapeeth also, I had opportunities of doing some leadership workshops. There have been people, some friends who have actually have attended the workshops, and these helped me that you have to be constantly going into self introspection, self auditing. You have to look at criticism with a lot of rationality. People who care for you only will criticize you. You must look at that criticism. Don't get emotional, don't get angry, don't react. Listen carefully. If you remember, in our childhood we used to be told to count 10. When you're angry, count 10. So I say don't count 10. Think, शांति से सुनो कि ये आदमी और ये औरत आपके बारे में क्यों ऐसा बोल रहे हैं. There must be a reason. There must be something that you have done. And if you think there is any rationality in it, try to improvise. If you think it is irrational, leave it. Don't bother. You have to be on your own trip. And therefore, in the last 15 years, Rajashree, my resolution always has been on the New Year's Eve is I have to rise above myself every year. So I am in competition with Dr. Girija Wagh and nobody else.
Awesome. That's, I hope the viewers really are understanding where Madam is really coming from. And I'm sure they are getting so many of your students, if they are watching it, this is going to be an inspiration for them. I really wanted to put this question across so that we will be able to, throw light on your personality and what really sort of brings you out into such international level associations. I in fact was about to give a little bit more detailed the information about FOXY, but like you rightly said, it's a federation, really, not just an association, but a federation of so many societies together. And we know that, ma'am, you have been doing a lot of work with FOXY, which is the Federation of Obstetric and Gynecological Societies of India. And while you're doing that, you are also trying to drive training, and you are thinking about the organizational culture of such a federation. That again intrigued me so much. I mean, of course, there are a lot of people out there who would be doing relentless work in this direction. And of course, you have been doing so much of work in this direction, working on so much of scientific data and deliberations that you've already been doing. But something like, putting an organizational culture in place, talking about best practices, and of course, driving training continuously. What are your thoughts on this? Because I think this sort of looks completely different what you would probably bring to the table for societies like this. Because what are your objectives and what are your futuristic thinking for these for especially societies like FOXY, who is already bringing so much of change and of course so much of input to your day-to-day practices?
See, FOXY has done a lot of things of late in the last decade that I've been witnessing it closely. It has tried to break all kinds of barriers between the governance and the private practitioner. I think that is very important because you cannot deny the fact that 80% of the health quantum is carried forwards by the private practitioners. And it is high time that we had a joint kind of a sort of a collaboration between the government facilities and the private practitioners, which the FOXY has been able to achieve. Secondly, FOXY has also been able to achieve one of the most important things is elevating the knowledge base of its own members. And that is very important because unless and until all the fraternity starts thinking alike, it is impossible to deliver the same thing without any difficulty to your patients. FOXY has also tried to acquire data, but unfortunately, it's not been very, very successful on that front. Because if you look at the number of practitioners that we have and the total number of data that we have, If we are able to sort of collate it, capture it in some way, we will be coming up with a lot of meaningful things for the country itself, where we don't have to then depend on the American or the European guidelines to give any kind of service to our patients. So that is something that where the Foxy requires to get into, which it is trying. It's not that it's not trying. All the presidents of Foxy come in, and they come in with wonderful vision every time. Currently, we have the Alpesh Gandhi from Ahmedabad, who has a vision of starting critical care, which, high dependency units for obstetric care, who had a vision for safety in practices and safety in all kinds. And I think these, everyone comes, defines a vision, and on these visions of several presidents, the Foxy has raised its, sort of standard to a very, very high level, to be reckoned not only nationally but internationally as a very strong force. What is very heartening today, Rajeshri, because in the past few months, I was conducting a huge number of webinars with various societies. Because of the COVID, we are not able to visit anywhere. Many places I found there were a lot of youngsters who participated in my webinars as panelists, as experts, and the way they were talking, their experiences, the level of training, I'm telling you, this country has wonderful future. Women's health in this country under the banner of Foxy will definitely go to a very big height. And I want to be witness and a sort of a carrier of this ahead, and to take it, because finally at the core everyone is speaking that we have to do something. You don't know, today I was participating in one of the webinars as pre-marital counseling, pre-conceptional counseling, early pregnancy counseling was the subject of today's webinar, where experts to the tune of 50 members participated on a Facebook Live, where they spoke about this, where at every core, it was the woman as a patient, which was very important. So I think we are really doing a lot of good job.
Well, I would like to elaborate on that again, because it is amazing to see that you have a vision to take the good work forward. And you are, of course, being modest. You have so many more inputs there to be given, because, if someone sort of visits your Facebook page or goes and visits your website, if they also come and see the True Wealth platform, they will just be amazed to see how many number of videos we have been actually recording every week, and the amazing number of topics that we have actually covered. We have, of course, taken up the mission for PCOS, and we have endlessly covered so many topics in PCOS itself. So viewers, you should come and access and see how much you've spoken about PCOS. How does it happen? How is it related to diabetes? How is it related to metabolic syndrome, irregular menstrual cycles, infertility, sleep hygiene, to so many different topics. And of course, Dr. Wagh, you have been talking about so many different more topics that if someone will visit your pages, they will of course be enlightened and will get so much more information when it comes to women health, encompassing from puberty to infertility to menopause, through all stages of a woman's life. And you of course are doing a great job in the field of infertility as well as pregnancy for women. On that note, I'm of course going to share one picture because this was something which through COVID, when I saw it, and of course a lot of people on your Facebook page also saw it. I mean, they all had the reaction of complete positivity, I would say. This was right in the pandemic, somewhere around April, May, when we were having a very hard time. And when you see that baby in action, the first expression is like, wow. And you've been giving life to so many of them, even through these toughest times. You've not stopped even one day, I know that. And you've been relentlessly, every time you've been doing a program, you've been doing it through your OPDs. So, trying to struggle through your OPDs, we have found time to, do all this. And I wanted to put the picture on the right too for women who are maybe not even doctors to understand that look where women can be, and if you decide to achieve it, they can be at the highest point or the highest peak that acme which we talk about, you can be at. And that's why I wanted to put this big in front
Thank you
both
so
of you.
much. Thank you so much. But I'll tell you, Rajashree, there's a lot to be done. अभी कुछ नहीं हुआ यार, बहुत करना है.
But before we sort of end today's program, I have a couple of questions, quick ones. One, of course, I would want you to briefly talk about a few of your initiatives, one of which is PCOS eradication, and that is something which we have taken up as a mission. If you would want to put a few points, and then I have a last concluding question. I know you have a very tight schedule even today.
So PCOS mission is something which I'm extremely grateful to you, Rajashree, and that's something which we want to take further. I've just started a new page, and I want you to help me there on nutrition and health in women. So that's a new Facebook page which is just embarked upon after 10th of September. When my elections are done with, I'm going to concentrate on that.
Sure.
Justosis is a mission wherein we now see that because of abnormal lifestyle, there is a lot of challenges during pregnancy, wherein women land up in hypertensive disorders, they land up in diabetes and preterm deliveries. Now, these three come under the conglomerate, what we would like to name as justosis. And I want to really create not only an awareness amongst the public, that is more important, but also a standardization as we can acquire in our practices as obstetricians, as clinicians, as doctors from all walks. So these are my three very, very important missions. And I'll tell you something, I really want to write loads and loads of books. I want to write them. I don't know when I'll find the time to do it.
You probably have to get more grace till you actually get to it.
I made a loud goal declaration so that it becomes a responsibility.
Yeah. And you did it live so that,
it
puts more pressure on you. Well, that's great. And we will look forward to those books, because I know I can tell you, viewers, without even Madam penning them down, that they are going to be loads of science, but a loads of practical approach to things, because that's how she is, that, anything she puts forth, she has everything planned up in her mind and how she's going to go forth with it. And it goes without saying that, whatever you're doing, of course, I will be supporting that as much as effort that I and our teams can put into.
Thank you so much. Rajashree, you've been always such a gem, and looking at you, I get inspired. I feel कि नहीं, ये दो आँखें मेरी तरफ देख रहे हैं, मुझे कुछ तो करना है.
Well, nothing like that. You're being modest, actually, really. Your viewers don't take that seriously. But a last question, really. So, related to, of course, what you were saying is that, you believe in actually having this integrative approach at things. So, surgery standalone doesn't work. Surgery, medications. You are a strong believer of nutrition and mental health as well. So, how have you found this really most effective for your patients? And if what could you say to the viewers from a holistic standpoint? How
I have been very successful in achieving pregnancies in women who have found it difficult to get pregnant, in women who have polycystic ovarian syndrome, in women with endometriosis, in women who have hypertensive disorders and diabetes, just by diet modulation. By speaking to them, I want to actually have this kind of a sort of a workshop kind of a platform where all my women can link into it. They can just listen to me, and then they can, because every time I have to neither continuously keep on playing that plate, which sometimes I'll not be able to do, but I really want it to happen, because I have realized that these things have made a whole lot of change. The day when my patients come and see, you will be seeing there are a lot of feedback some of my patients have given on my Google page, and how their lives change, because I feel just by spending some 10-20 minutes with them, things have changed, and that does make a difference.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I mean, I second that very strongly. And talking, listening, and reading between lines also makes so much of difference to the patients. A final question really is: people feel that women like you, who are born with so many positives at hand, so many opportunities at hand. It's probably red carpet, easy walk for you. Have adversities affected you? And how have you taken them in your stride? I'm sure you have taken adversities in your stride, and you probably made more gold out of it. So if there are a couple of stories you want to share, so that, because a lot of women, what we realize, either after they become mothers, which you probably know most, they give up on their careers, they give up on, at times women even give up on their life when it comes to adversities. And while we are still more multitasking and we know how to manage our lives better, but yet careers and work is something which we give up at the drop of the hat. We see adversity, and the career always is at a stake. So what would you suggest and share with such women?
Basically, I will tell you something that nothing in this world can take away your strength of character. And, I feel that we waste a lot of time in our generally the social and the family structure in our country, and especially in the typical middle class families, is a little different. Women have to come to terms, because today we don't have a reference to context about the educated women, because their roles in the family as well as at the career are similar, and not all of them would have an access of a family help because of monetary reasons or so many other things. Now, having said that, you have to understand that your life has we have a maqsad of living our life as a family, plus we have come with some purpose, and that purpose is something which should drive us, and we have to find a balance. Now, the setbacks, if you say, my first setbacks was in the first MBBS examination at BJ Medical College, where I flunked the exam in a subject which is called as physiology, which was a very, very easy subject, but I failed in that subject. For me, it was a very, very big setback, because I was always a distinction acquirer, a gold medalist, always a topper. And for me to take failure was impossible. When I went home, I did not have food for 2 days. And my father told me that if this is your test, if you think you want to become a doctor, I think you leave your medicine and just become a same simple plain graduate or a housewife. I'll find a rich man for you, get married. There is no reason, because if you want to become a doctor, it entails a huge lot of responsibilities. And I don't think you are physically or mentally or emotionally capable of taking those. Call it a day. He did not say it with any spite. He said that, yes, we know you're intelligent, but you looks like you're not able to put that intelligence to good use. So we can change the path. The third day, I got packed my bags, went back to BJ Medical College ladies hostel. There was no soul there because everybody was on a holiday. I decided to stay alone there. And I used to cook my own food. And I told my father that I will only return home after I pass this exam. And then that time we were a few repeaters, and we used to call our batch that time as MBBS BJ 83 R batch. And that R did not stand for repeater. It stood for royal. Okay. So that was our royal batch. So we were very proud of being in part of the royal batch. We are still connected to our main batch very, very strongly. And I could achieve everything, getting distinction in my OBGYN, at my MD, everything, because that was one big hurdle which taught me. It taught me how to overcome hurt. It taught me a lot of things. I used to have huge stage fear. I was an extreme introvert. And I realized that this doesn't work. I have to be expressive. And every time when there used to be an exam, despite being a scholar, just imagine, I used to have palpitations in my heart. I used to get so scared. And then I realized that this came only because I had very, very low self-esteem.
Yeah.
I was constantly in self-doubt. And then when I realized that, no, I have to bit by bit, and there are so many other things, Rajashree, which I cannot speak on this social platform, but I'll speak to you in person someday, because you must learn. I feel that everybody should learn from these lessons of life. Yeah. But this is how I overcome this. And I realized that you always have to take criticism properly. You always have to listen to people. It may be even when my patients come to me, when the husband is saying, Madam, ye pani nahi piti, ye khana nahi khati, then I tell that patient, don't get angry. He's not complaining about you. He is trying to make a point. because he cares for you, he loves you, and that's why he's trying to tell me this, because he trusts me and he trusts you. So listen to what he's saying, because he is going to be helping you. Another thing which I tell very commonly to women is, always use your husband, your father, your brother, such men in your life as your role models. Look at the way they are thinking in any given situation.
Yes.
They are not wired like us. They are very streamlined. Their brain is like boxes. They do not mix anything with anything. And that's why they are men. That's why it's the man's world. So we have to be, we have to learn these things. We are always under the process of evolution. And evolution has to be there always for the betterment of the society.
So I keep giving your example that when you talk, you always keep saying that you should have women friends so that you can actually share all your women health issues and all other issues. And at the same time, you always should look up to men so that, like you said, man's world, so you will be able to get into those leadership positions, which women only look at and at times, think they will never be able to get to it, or they want to get to it. In either cases, they have to do both of this.
There is a
And it is,
wonderful analogy which I want to share here, and that has been one of the principles of life. There is one story about the Raj hounds. Do you know that Raj hounds,
yes,
swan,
yes,
the royal
yes,
swan?
yes.
He has a capacity when it's drinking a water which is mixed with milk. These Raj hounds will only take the milk and keep the water behind. So in your life also, whenever you come against any adversities, only pick up the good things from that adversities. They may have taught you certain lessons in your life, and learn from those lessons and go ahead. So always become a Rajhans of your own life,
Great.
and it will teach you.
Any last? Of course, this is an amazing message you're leaving us with. But what really are your critical success factors, and what would you want to make as a closing remark for women who are actually listening into this program? Because I don't think this program has really been sufficient. There is so much more to ask you and chat about, because you see women around all the time. You see women giving up. You see
I
women,
enjoy.
yes, and you keep guiding them, because there are a lot of them. So any message you would like to give to the women who give up, or who want to actually get ahead, what should they be doing, and what were your critical success factors really, which you think are important? Because I think ending the show with it will also sort of influence the women gynecologists who are, or not just women, even the men who are actually the ones who are coming up as great set of young gynecologists, which you mentioned earlier.
So this is a mnemonic, PAN. PAN is my mnemonic. First and foremost, PAN stands for what you cook in. So never ever give your cooking skills to anybody. You have to cook your own food. You have to cook food for your own family, and that will create the healthy future society. So that is a big PAN which starts from. Stands for positivity and only positivity. A stands for being assertive, absolutely assertive about things that you want to acquire. And N stands for no for negativity. Do not allow any negativity around you. You can close your ears, eyes if anything is happening. Just dissociate yourself. Only be positive, only be assertive, and take the cooking in your hands. You have to cook food.
That's the easiest way we women can understand that, pan is always in front of us. Pan should be in front of us in this manner. So rightly said. I mean, it can be a funny analogy, but it makes so much of sense, because it's going to remind you every day about it.
I
And
just thought
a
it
super
while I was
thought.
talking to you, I thought I'll give a light message.
Well, so but I absolutely agree with so much that you always keep talking about, and I'm sure the viewers here have got inspired. I know there are a lot of women who come up and tell me that when they see our programs, they love you. They say that we just love to listen into her and so many of the inputs, and we have had global people telling us that they have learned so much out of what we are doing. Of course, like you said, there is so much more that needs to be done relentlessly, because we can't stop. We have to keep going and going and going, and that's where you have to start writing books, and we look forward to it as well. But it was a great interview with you, understanding right from how IQ and how family sort of makes you, half of you is really such a strong backbone that you've had, and the way you've traversed your journey, not keeping that in mind, but still keeping modest and going at things, and you want to take the future forward with your initiatives, and with some of these societies, especially Foxy. And we know you are contesting for one of their elections. You are going to become we are already saying, the vice president of the regional body, and a regional body of something which is international and is driving so much of input for gynecologists, and which of course is going to add so much to women's life and women's health. And we wish you all the very best, and I'm so sure we're really looking forward to for the result, and so that you can really take so many of your initiatives forward. And I know we hope someday you will reach the national and the international boundaries as well. So we wish you all the very best, and we will keep, of course, supporting you through your initiatives. I invite even the viewers, if they want to do more in the direction for women's health, they are always welcome in any way that they can support these initiatives. You always have something or the other to support. So don't think that what can you do. Even if you do something small, it can surely become big. On that thought, all power and more strength to you, ma'am, with this show. And thank you very much again for being with us.
Thank you.